MarzGurl.
I'm JoshKnightTheFirst.
Welcome to episode 51 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover episode 51 of City Hunter, titled The Deadliest Enemy, Ryo and Kaori's Final Match, Part 2.
We intended for this episode to get out quite a bit sooner than this.
Sometimes family visits, and it's important.
Yeah, life happens, and then suddenly family is here on the days that you would usually watch an episode and record, and, well, they don't always watch City Hunter. I would say most families don't.
But they did enjoy Nikki Larson.
Yeah, so, that's good. Props to Nikki Larson, even if you don't watch City Hunter. One day we'll get to that.
Oh, we're going to get to that, and that's going to be probably our longest one.
If we
don't chop that one up into pieces.
Oh man, that's going to be a whole discussion we need to have. But also, it's going to be a long time before we get there.
Yeah, because as we've said before, we're going to do this podcast in release order, so that'll probably be like the last thing we get to. Either it or Shinjuku Private Eyes.
But then, supposedly, this movie that's due in 2022 is supposed to come out. And by that point, so it won't be the last thing we do. We're expecting at least one more thing to come out.
But I am going to use this opportunity one more time to complain to Aniplex. Where the hell's the movie, Aniplex?
You have 2 months left.
Did you lie to us?
I'm concerned.
I'm very concerned. I'm getting upset over here.
Yeah.
I want that movie.
So, since we're on the last episode of this particular season, there's a few things we want to wrap up. And not all of it is just this particular episode of the season, Some of it involves maybe going over some stats that we've learned over this past year. Also, there was a discotheque day that happened just this past week, and we were kind of waiting to confirm, oh man, wouldn't it be really stupid if we bought City Hunter 2, which is broken up into 2 parts on Blu-ray.
Because it's a pretty long season.
And then suddenly Discotheque announces, guess what? We're doing what we did with season 1, and we're combining our 2 sets into 1 set. But thankfully, they kind of confirmed that they don't have plans to do that anytime in the near future. So that means we can just safely move on to City Hunter 2 after this on the current Blu-ray that are out right now.
So that won't be an issue.
Thanks, Discotheque, for that confirmation. I feel a lot better.
Now, mind you, that's not the only way you can do it. You can also watch it over on Verve and Retro Crush.
And Crunchyroll, which, Verve is owned by Crunchyroll, so it's practically
basically
the same
thing. Yeah. We're just saying you have options when it comes to watching City Hunter along with us.
That having been said, do we want to talk about some of these things that we have learned over the course of this series now? Or do we want to save that for the end?
I want to save it for the end.
Okay.
Because we still have a problem here. Kaori's been kidnapped.
Are we delaying her rescue right now? Is that what's going on? By stalling here at the beginning?
The longer we wait, the longer she has to be on that ship.
Yeah, okay.
And she might not like Yeez.
It's ease. I know it's spelled with a Y, but...
It's force of habit.
Josh, okay, look. I have 2 Y's in my name. And they don't really in my name either. The Y's in my name are the vowel ones, not the consonant ones. So, ease is just like the Y's in my name. It's the vowel.
Ease. Got it.
Yeah, like the falcon. Eee.
Well,
making the noise.
Like the shocker grunt. Eee.
Well, this is like the sound of a bird.
I don't know a lot of birds that say E.
Well, they do if you teach them.
I don't try to teach birds.
I did once. It didn't really work out. It just kind of squawked at me. But
C?
What?
Not C, E. All right, let's go ahead and get into the episode. So, to go ahead and recap from last week, we have learned that this whole time out in the bay there outside of Tokyo, that this boat that's been sitting there that supposedly the animators just put there because they like this video game.
Ease Falcom
has apparently this whole time belonged to the Lodos Mafia, who are people who are very vengeful against Ryo for messing with their smuggling operations.
So, surprise, Lodos Mafia has been here the whole time. They were totally always there. I don't think they were thinking about this.
Probably not. I think it could have been just as simple as the animators decided to reuse a frame and then they're like, oh, I guess this belongs to them now.
Yeah, we'll keep this boat. We just have to keep remembering to keep drawing the the Ease Falcom logo on this boat as it continues to show up.
You can look at it one of two ways. Either one, the Lotus Mafia has been waiting there in the harbor this whole time for the right time to strike, or two, the Lotus Mafia only recently got to Tokyo and they're renting out the boat.
Oh, they took over this boat.
They took over the lease.
Can you lease a boat? I guess you
can totally lease a boat.
Look, I'm not rich enough to think about whether or not I can lease a boat. Do you understand? And this is a freighter.
Yeah, it's a pretty big
freight.
It's a surprisingly deep boat too, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, Sayako tried to rope Ryo and Kaori into doing this drug bust on the Lotus Mafia, which is tied to Makimura because he was investigating them back while he was still alive.
Meanwhile, Kaori's having nightmares of like, I sure miss my brother who got murdered, and now I'm scared that it's gonna happen to Ryo too. So when they have gone to try and do this drug bust, oh no, Kaori got kidnapped, and now Ryo's like, I'm angry about this.
And kind of the whole motive for him this entire episode is don't make Ryo angry. You wouldn't like him when he's angry.
I do want to point out though that, Ryo has had to handle a lot of women over the course of this series, but trying to rescue any of them has never made him mad like this. So you have to think, for as much as he goofs off and dicks around and just kind of screws with Kaori or whatever, once she's kidnapped, he's like, oh hell no.
No, that switch is flipped and he's ready to go off. He's ready to go medieval. He's ready to go ham. He will go to the ends of the earth and back to make sure she is brought back safely.
I don't know if he fully understands why he feels that way. He just does it.
To a certain extent, he does.
Well, he knows, I made a promise to her brother. I was going to protect her. And so I'm mad about that, which that part makes sense. But, I don't know. It's otherwise irrationally angry if that's all it is.
Well, we can argue that once we get to the very end.
Sure. But like right at the very beginning, he's off just practicing down in his bunker and shooting. And he's shooting in perfect circles because that's how you know this man is upset.
And you also know he's got perfect aim because we've seen other shots where he's there at the targeting range in the basement of his apartment. I think it was the episode where Sayako got in, or Reika, one of the Nogami sisters, and they were shooting in that same formation, the 6-shot cylinder formation, but when Ryo does it, he's able to hit the mark every time.
Sure.
So that's just him showing off that he can hit whatever target whenever he wants.
I think he just wanted to prove to himself, like pump himself up, like, yep, going in there, I'm gonna do this to some son of a bitch.
Right, exactly. And speaking of the sisters, so we should mention the drug bust did kind of go down.
Sure. Oh yeah, like, they trucked out a ton of people from this party.
So are we led to believe everybody at the party was dealing drugs?
They were all in on the drugs? All of them?
I mean, you think about, like, drug parties in, like, Beverly Hills or something. It's entirely possible.
I mean, we have to get somebody for what they did to that cat that last episode.
Oh, that's true. Well, that was Deny. Deny did that to the cat.
Technically, kind of secondhand. She just kind of blotted her lips with that poison and then dropped the blot on the ground, and then the cat walked up to it, which is very unfortunate, but...
I mean, she's gonna get hers.
Yeah, okay.
But for right now, we just need people to know that Sayako did in fact do her job as a cop, which is surprising.
And it's funny, like, the sisters are talking to each other like, wow, Ryo really actually helped us out a lot here. And Sayako's like, yes, he's done more than we can ever repay him for. And I'm like, bitch, you were never gonna repay him for anything anyway. What are you talking about?
You never once paid up for sex. Not once.
I don't know, that made me really upset. Like, why would you say that? You never had any intention of ever showing any gratitude to this person. What is wrong with you?
So yeah, drug bust happened. Ryo's pissed and he's training down in the basement. So Kaori is there on the boat with everybody there at Lotus Mafia. This is the dumb thing I don't understand. For whatever reason, if you didn't already know this boat now belongs to them, they're flying a damn flag.
Yeah, like it's a pirate ship.
And it's this, like, scorpion, like, the old Destron logo from Kamen Rider V3.
It's very similar. It shares similarities.
But it's like, you want people to know you're here. You want Ryo to know where you are.
Well, apparently, yes, that is in fact the case, because we learn that in another scene, just a scene or two later, that he goes down to that bar again.
The bar from episode 1.
The bar from episode 1. I'm like, okay, we're actually remembering he did this, and he pours him,
the bartender
there pours him the XYZ cocktail, even though it's a different color than it was before, but okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, because before, because we were wrong in episode 1, we need to go ahead and be right with the audience here. We said in episode 1 that cocktail would never come up again. This is the third time it's come up in season 1. This episode is the third time it's ever come up, but both other times, that cocktail was red. This time, it was clear.
And Ryo's like, the XYZ cocktail. I'm like, what are you talking about? Did you know it changed? Did you know? Okay.
Did the bartender inform you that they had changed the recipe?
Anyway, so the bartender is like, oh, by the way, there's this boat out in the harbor and it's flying this flag. They want you to come down there. So, yes, that is exactly, like, the point of all of this, is that when you said, what, you want Ryo to know where you are? Apparently the answer is yes. And the bartender knows that for some reason.
Yeah, the bartender tells him they want you to engage in Mortal Kombat.
How does he know that?
I mean, apparently this bartender knows a lot.
If he knows so much, I wish we would get more time with him instead of just 3 episodes with him across the span of 51 episodes.
And it's kind of the thing about this episode, there is no comedy in this episode.
There really isn't, no.
As much of a jokey, humorous series as this is 100% action this week.
Yeah, and we're not really showing any advertising this episode either. Like, you see little things in the background, like you see that Ease Falcom thing, but that seems like an in-joke. The Magnum, the 357 Magnum, you see it written on the barrel very clearly, but like we've seen that before because that's the gun he uses. So you see branding of things, but it's clearly not advertising the way M&Ms have been advertising. We don't see any of that blatant, buy this product, it sort of.
No, this week episode. Ryo was like, M&Ms, get the hell out of here. All the M&Ms were like, sorry, we're going. And they left.
Maybe he should have been like, no, let's have some M&Ms ready, waiting for Kaori to come back, because she's gonna need these M&Ms.
See, if it was written nowadays, that's how that would have gone.
Yeah.
And so Ryo's getting all his affairs in order. He's practicing down at the gun range, he's getting his info, and now he's making sure to go visit Makimura's grave to tell him what's going on.
We probably could have seen this before. I don't think we talked about it though, but we could see his birth and death years of 1958
to 1987.
So he died at either 28 or 29.
Thereabouts.
So,
give or take, he's about 10 years older than Kaori.
Almost.
And that's a pretty big gap for siblings.
Mind you, she's adopted, so.
I mean, even then, though, we were having
is that a spoiler? We don't know she's adopted. No, we do. He says it, like, in episode 5. Oh, I mean to tell Kaori she's adopted.
Yeah, we brought that up in episode 5.
Yeah, he intended to tell her, and then he never got to tell her.
So Ryo says his piece to Makimura, tells him, hey, next time I come, I'll make sure to bring Kaori with me. So he's already convinced. He's bringing her back. There is no other option.
And he's convinced that he's not gonna die. So it's not like he's thinking, I'll do anything to get Kaori back, including die if I have to. No. He really thinks we're both coming back here with M&Ms. No, he doesn't say that.
Now's not the time for product placement. And so as he leaves, he just silently walks back to the Mini Cooper and drives off, and Umibozu's already there at the graveyard, just leaning against a tree. Doesn't say anything. He's just watching Ryo leave, and it's like, Umibozu, why were you hanging out at the graveyard?
Like, man, if you want to give somebody some comfort, like, you gotta learn some social skills, my guy.
Umibozu has never been one for social skills.
No, I guess not.
And so this whole time back on the boat, Kaori's just there contemplating, oh, Ryo, please come save me. But then she remembers the dream. No, I take it back. Don't come save me.
Never mind. That's a bad idea. Don't do it. But Ryo goes and he does it anyway.
So Ryo pulls up on the boat, because obviously he knows where it is now, and just drives up. There's 2 dudes at the bottom, the little ladder leading up.
And the 2 dudes are like, hey, not getting through us. And then Ryo's like, yes, yes, I am. And they're like, oh, never mind, bye. And they just kind of walk away. They like part like the Red Sea, and he just walks right up that ramp.
So he goes past the 2 guards to be met by 17 other guards.
And they're not nearly as forgiving.
And he tells them straight up, I'm in a bad mood today. I am not going to miss any vital organs. That's the kind of mood I'm in right now.
That's pretty serious, man. I mean, like, he doesn't talk that way about other people that he's trying to rescue or protect.
And the thing about it is, you know he means it.
Yeah.
He is an expert marksman. When he says that, he's going to do it. He's going to make good on that. So as he's there met by the 17 guards, the one brother, this is a little weird. So there's a difference in spelling from the last episode to this one. So last episode it was Zabo. This week it's Sabo.
So the difference between a S and a Z, not to mention we've also changed the end of his spelling too, right?
Yeah, so last week the subtitles had it as Zaboh. This week it's Sabou.
See, the OH and the OU, they end up being the same pronunciation, so I would have almost forgiven that, although not staying consistent is a problem, yes. But an S and a Z are 2 different syllables. Those are 2 different pronunciations, so I'm not really sure which it is. Maybe we should confirm. You know what? Can I find it? See, here in katakana, I'm looking at my anime list, which who knows how accurate that is, but they have it spelled Sabo with an S, okay? And I'm looking at the katakana, so that's...
So, Sa.
Yeah, so that's the Japanese pronunciation is with an S. So it was incorrect in part 1.
In episode 50.
In episode 50, and it's correct now, if this is to be believed. His name is Sabo with an S.
So QC guy should have been on that.
Yeah, sorry, man.
But anyway, Sabo is there to greet Ryo, and he is very trigger happy, and he tells him, all right, man, you gotta get through all these guys to get to me, to get to Calorie. All right, get him, boys, but don't kill him.
They would have never been successful at killing him anyway, even if he told them to kill him, so it doesn't even matter. This is no contest. You know it's no contest. This is City Hunter.
So a gunfight breaks out, and Ryo commences explosion dodging. A lot of dropped frames there as far as him rolling for cover. I don't know
Yes.
well, maybe not drop frames. What's the better way of phrasing that? There's not as many frames to his animation as he's rolling for cover.
They're just trying to $1 million man this.
$6 million man.
They're trying to $6 million man this.
Except not that sound effect.
Yeah.
But as we just said, Ryo is making good on it. Out of all of these guys shooting at him, he is returning fire, and he's going for kill shots. He's going for lungs, he's going for heart, he's going for spleen.
The gut, yeah, you see it come right out the back of him too, which sometimes you think, oh, people can live through those. I don't know. We don't actually see a lot of blood, if any. But remember too, the anime is actually really, really nerfed by comparison to the original manga.
Right,
as far as violence is concerned. We've seen blood in the show before, but I get the feeling that they're just like, oh my god, he's just shooting guy after guy after guy. We'll let him shoot these people, but I don't think we can do that much blood.
Where realistically, these people are bleeding profusely and probably dying from those wounds.
Several of them are probably dead. At a certain point, Ryo's just kind of trying to hold some cover down for himself. Then, surprise, Umibozu got on the boat at some point. Mind you, the boat is moving now. The boat has left port.
Yeah, they've hoisted anchor and they're out to water, and they're just kind of there in Tokyo Bay.
So at some point, I assume before it left the docks, Umibozu got on. Unless he, like, scuba'd under the boat and then climbed up this boat. So, like, it would have had to have been at some point, probably after Ryo got on. Who knows, though? Maybe he got on before Ryo ever got there, and he's just been sitting and waiting.
Maybe he parachuted onto the boat. We don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, Umibozu's got resources.
How did he get there? We have no information on
Look,
how
the
he got
important
there.
thing to mention is that he's got a chain gun and a bazooka.
Because of course he has a bazooka, Josh. The chain gun's the cool part, though.
They're both cool.
I mean, they're both cool, but...
But, I mean, he should probably use them.
And he does. A lot. A lot more people die. Umibozu's killing people, too. They're both murderers, okay?
Yeah, but they're the good murderers.
Oh, excuse me.
And everybody else on the boat is the bad murderers.
Okay.
So once Umibozu starts lighting people up with the bazooka, these explosions rock the boat enough for Kaoru to realize, hey, there's a fight going on above. I should probably yell for Ryo.
Even though you were just over here like, no, Ryo, don't come.
And so while they're returning fire, Ryo's arguing with Umibozu, I didn't need your help. And Umibozu's telling him, hey man, they shot at me first, remember?
I think, like, while that is true, it's a convenient excuse for him to be like, oh, so you're my buddy and I'm just trying to take care of you. Shut the hell up and get out of here.
Well, he does tell him, I'll hold it down here, you go on ahead.
And they, like, smile at each other for, like, 2 seconds, and then Ryo takes off. So I'm sitting here thinking, no, you're friends. Don't try to deny it. You're covering for your buddy.
So Ryo goes deeper into the ship, and down in the hold of the ship, he takes on Sabo, who lobs a grenade at him, an old World War I looking long grenade.
With a handle.
But it's not a normal grenade. It doesn't explode when it goes off. It covers Ryo in a powder, which apparently gives him luminescence.
Yeah, this fluorescent, like the stuff that glow-in-the-dark t-shirts are made out of, but
Yeah.
in a powder.
So Ryo is now a glow stick.
Yeah, which is useful because that room is really dark, and now Sabo's like, haha, I see you, bitch. Pachoo, pachoo.
Right, now Ryo can't hide for cover because the light coming off him now alerts Sabo to where his location is.
Is this a real thing, this fluorescent powder? Is this a thing that exists?
I want to say it is, but I didn't do that homework.
Mind you, like, I've seen people break glow sticks and then put it on their hands, which is dangerous. Don't do that.
Yeah, you're not actually supposed to do that. Those
so-
are bad chemicals.
Yeah, so when you're talking about the chemicals in a glow stick, yes, I've seen that happen, but as a powder,
Hold on. Luminescent
it was
powder?
fluorescent. Glow-in-the-dark pigment? Like,
I mean, yeah, basically.
I guess, like, yeah, it's a thing. I don't know how long it's been a thing.
I mean, you
but
can get it off Amazon.
in the year 2022, which
So
is
we're
not
going-
1988.
So we're
but-
going to assume it does work. Yes.
Okay, fine.
Now, to Sabo's credit, it did make sense in theory how this plan was supposed to work. Make sure Ryo can't hide for cover, make sure you can always see where he is in this dimly lit room. The problem is, Sabo also didn't take into account that they had a running source of water there within the boat.
So Ryo's a smart guy, and he takes his jacket off and he hides it behind a pillar, meanwhile diving his ass into this pool of water.
You know, the old pie in the windowsill trick. So when Sabo goes to shoot up his jacket, Ryo just comes up out the water, and he headshots this guy.
Right between the eyes. Somehow the man manages to say one more sentence after he has been shot through the skull. But, I mean, that's pretty commendable that he was able to accomplish that, but he still died. Also, bloodless, mind you.
Yeah, like, the screen goes to black and white when the shot connects right there on his forehead. But realistically now, remember, Ryo's carrying around a hand cannon. He just blew this man's brains out.
Yeah, if this was real, oh, there wouldn't be skull.
No, the back of his skull would be gone.
I'm sorry, guys, for that imagery. Thank God this is just audio. Also, thank God for, I guess, the animators nerfing City Hunter. Because, you know, I haven't actually read the chapter of the manga, but having read so much of the manga prior to this point in the story, City Hunter's really bloody.
Sidebar, you guys can read the manga now.
Right, that Manga Hot app. Yeah, they still keep publishing new updates to the new English translation of that manga, and supposedly they really want to look for a physical publisher at some point.
If only, please.
Keep an eye out for
We got
that.
our fingers crossed.
I'm really hoping.
But yeah, that's one sibling down.
2 more to go.
And so next up is Denai, who's wearing this, like, future cyberpunk ninja outfit, which is somehow backless.
Look, you can't be a female ninja and not be sexy at the same time. I don't make the rules. That's just how it goes. Like, she looks like she came out of Ninja Robot.
Yeah, Yeah, she does. Now, mind you, this is many, many years before Naruto, so there won't be a lot of modesty in ninja outfits for some time.
Well, yeah, because, like, think of any other ninja property, right? Ninja Scroll, modesty in ninjas. Are you kidding me?
No, those two things don't go together, modesty and ninja scroll. So, Deny, they don't explain how she's doing it. We're just led to assume what this is. But apparently her ninja suit does help her be very, very stealthy. So she's sneaking around the rafters of the inner part of the boat.
So it makes you think she might actually be good at this. You would be wrong.
You'd be very wrong.
She's good at it for a few seconds, you know?
So she's able to tie Rio up for like a second, right? She gets him strung up over the rafters so he's hanging from his wrists.
Yeah.
And then she lobs 2 knives at him, but just like the Olympic athlete we figured out he is, he treats the ropes on his arms like he's on Olympic rings and just flips himself around, uses his feet to grab one of the knives that's thrown at him and lob it back at her.
Yeah, he like pinches his left foot and right foot together to grip the knife and then swings the knife back at her. And then like the rope just undoes itself from around his hands.
Like her grip let go on the rope.
I guess that must be what it was, even though that doesn't really make sense, but okay.
And so she reveals now that she's got wrist knives and boot knives.
Knives out of the toes of her boots. Like, I've seen that in other shows.
I've seen that in Wild Wild West. It was in Trigun too, right?
I think.
Yeah, Vash had one of those.
I'm trying to think of another more recent thing I've seen it in because I know I have. Anyway, they exist.
And you would think, okay, she's being real ninja-like, right? This is gonna be a good fight.
And so she's doing a bunch of flips and she jumps over him and stuff and then he dodges for a second and then she goes to land on the ground and she just lands stupid or something. She's like, haha, I'm gonna go, whoa, and then stumbles backwards all on her own. Ryo didn't touch her, okay?
Like, she bites it. Okay, we need you guys to know it's very obvious that in this fight, they needed to show that Ryo wasn't going to shoot a woman. And so, the way they've decided to get around that is to make her incredibly inept.
Which, I'm not sure which I'm more upset by. The idea of, oh no, how could you shoot a woman? Or the idea of, well, the only way we can make sure that a man doesn't actually hurt a woman is if she's just an absolute imbecile. And just Looney Tunes herself off the side of this balcony here.
Well, yeah, because she's kicking at Ryo with the blades on her feet and lunging at him with the blades on her arms, and then yeah, she just kind of spins herself over a railing.
Which, I mean, she doesn't immediately die because you need to be able to see Ryo go in and grab her wrist and try to save her. And she's like, why'd you do that? And he's actually like, I don't know. Like, that's literally what he says. He's like, I don't know why I did it either. The answer is because the writers did not want him to kill a woman. That's what the answer is.
That's all it is. So, we do need her to die, though. So, she uses her wrist knife to, like, scratch his cheek.
I don't know why she did this. Like, if he was gonna pull her back up, she could have had a second shot at trying to murder this man. And instead, what she does is she's like, no, I'm just gonna be petty and get a scratch on his cheek. And if he lets go in the process and I die, it was worth it. And that's what happens.
That's literally, like, she gets a scratch on his cheek, not even a deep scratch. It heals itself up and literally in the next shot.
It literally heals itself, yeah.
But she, like, drops gracefully out of his hand, and then a second later you hear thump, and she lands all pretty.
But dead.
I mean, she is dead now, yes.
Pretty but dead. But this is her own fault!
But on top of that, how tall is this boat? Because statistically speaking, you only have to fall from a height equivalent to your own to break your neck.
Sure.
And it seemed like she fell about 4 stories. So I don't get how tall this boat is.
Well, she fell so far, she disappeared into the darkness, and then another camera shot finds her down on the floor of the boat.
As though she's been posed, though. She's the prettiest corpse I've ever seen in City Hunter.
Anyway, there's still one more guy to kill.
Well, actually, technically, there's 2.
Well,
we
no,
forgot
but
to bring up that, yes, there is still the last
one
brother.
One more sibling.
Yeah, there's one more sibling, Geruma, but we forgot to bring up this whole time. Apparently, they've got a boss.
Well, you would imagine a crime syndicate has a leader, yes.
And he's just some old fart in an eye patch.
And this weird ascot.
Yeah, like, what are you doing here, man? You're like half Majima, half Fred from Scooby-Doo. Like, what's the style here? I don't get it.
But all he cares cares about is, we're gonna kill that city hunter guy by any means necessary. This last brother, though, earlier in the episode, they're like, oh, we gotta get this Rio guy. He's the guy that caused that other assassin to retire. You remember the one?
Michael Garland.
Yeah, Michael Garland. That was in the 30s somewhere.
Yeah, so specifically they call back to episode 32, so we've got some consistency here that they're remembering, oh yeah, Rio made Michael Garland retire.
Oh, you guys heard about that, huh? I guess word gets around.
So, like, was Michael Garland working for the Lotus Mafia? They don't tell us.
Well, I mean, maybe he had been working against the Lotus Mafia at some point even. So they would have heard about him. It's either against him or with them. Whatever, they run in similar circles, clearly.
Well, yeah, there would be some overlap there, but there's another thing they say in regards to wanting to get revenge on Rio. They mention that at some point Rio shut down one of their trade routes, and I'm trying to remember what episode that's referring to.
Is it referring to an episode?
I don't know.
Or is this just a thing that happened off screen, maybe before the events of City Hunter proper? He has history with these people? Like, really? Does he?
Like, was it on accident? Because more often than not in episodes of City Hunter, we haven't dealt with drugs.
No, I guess not. In fact, they did the drug bust this past episode, but I never saw the drugs. Not once.
Like, we don't even know what kind of drugs they were dealing.
Yeah, was it coke? Was it heroin?
Was it just weed? Like, I know they're pretty hard on that.
Yeah, Japan's laws about weed are like, oh, we found you with a dime bag. You're going to jail for 20 years. Oh my god. I mean, to be fair, our country has had a history of that shit too, depending on who you are with the dime bag and where you are in the country and at what point in our country's history that was. Just to be fair. But Japan's pretty bad too.
So, Geruma is much more of a gentleman going up against Rio, which seems to happen a lot when it comes to Rio and a duel. Mm-hmm. So dude's like, alright, I got this really high-powered auto mag. I'm gonna duel you with this. We're just gonna settle it right here on a coin flip. As soon as the coin hits the floor, we're gonna go.
And yeah, that auto mag should not actually be that fast. And Rio even comments, I don't know, man, not very good for a duel. And dude's bragging, I don't know, ask the last few guys what they thought about it. And to be fair, so the coin hits the ground, and he actually appears to get the faster draw initially.
But Rio has the better aim.
Right, so these two bullets end up colliding in midair. So what I think is impressive, actually, is that although Rio did not draw faster, he could still see the bullet while it was coming right at him fast enough
to judge the trajectory.
Right.
And cancel it out.
Exactly. That is more impressive to me.
Yeah, that means he's got some insane vision.
And insane brain processing power.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just vision. It's like being the Flash and being able to see and process that imagery so fast. That's outrageous.
I would argue is bordering on superhuman.
Bordering. Yeah, I would agree. I don't think that's their intention, is to say that he's superhuman, but this is kind of absurd if he's not superhuman.
And he's able to not only cancel out the bullet, but get the kill shot in.
Well, yeah, he takes a second shot.
Yeah.
Rio takes a second shot, and that time he gets him. And, like, dude's got just enough life left in him while he's lying on the ground to be like, alright, you got me, Rio, you won. And Rio's like, I didn't win.
It was a tie.
It was a tie. It was a draw. I just got a little lucky. And I'm sitting here thinking, you know what it means to be lucky in a duel, right? It means you won.
It means you're not dead.
It means you're the winner. What are you if you're a little more lucky, that's what winning is. I don't understand.
Rio, ask Alexander Hamilton.
Oh, that man had it rough.
Historically,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, Rio's still got to save Cowdy, who's been watching with the eye patch guy.
Did he have a name?
He didn't have a name.
We saw him last episode, right?
No, we did not.
Did we not?
We only saw the three siblings last episode, and we are only seeing this guy right now.
Anyway, he's like, I'm behind bulletproof glass, so you can't get me. Time for me to set off these bombs that will go off in 5 minutes. I'm going to leave, and you two can just stare at each other from behind the other side of the glass. Bye!
And so this asshole tries to take off in the helicopter.
He's just like, not gonna stop me. Umibozu's like, we'll see about that, bitch.
Shabams!
Rocket launcher, this helicopter. This is like the ending of Yakuza 1.
Yes.
Like, who is this guy going off in this helicopter? He seems bad. And blow up this helicopter.
So he was incredibly inconsequential. You might as well have not included this guy.
We needed Umibozu to do one more cool thing, I guess.
I mean, it is cool that he just kind of like, rocket launcher says what? And then he's just gone, just very unceremoniously blows his ass out of the sky.
So if Ryo was dealing with these people before in the past, I guess he's not going to in the future now. He, like, didn't even think about these people. Like, these guys held this grudge against him for a real long time, and he's just like, and you're who?
Well, no, it's like in Avengers Endgame. Like, the Lodos Mafia is like, you took everything from us. And Ryo's like, I don't even know who you are.
To you, I ruined your entire smuggling operation, but for me, it was Tuesday.
Or in our case, Mokkori Monday.
And apparently, you know, we found out by looking at the extras on the Blu-ray, they also used to air on Mondays at 7 p.m.
Yeah, so we're just continuing the fine tradition.
Yeah.
So yeah, the ship's blowing up now.
The last brother who died,
Geruma.
He obviously left his gun. Clearly, he didn't, like, take his gun with him to the afterlife. So the gun's there on the ground. And Ryo is like, okay, I couldn't shoot through it with my 357, but maybe if I just keep firing with the auto mag, I can get through this. And he manages to, and then somehow, like, we've seen him do this where he blows open a hole in something, and then he fires a bullet through that hole, which, that's fine. That's really cool that he can do that. What I thought was weird was that he blows open this hole after shooting a few rounds, then fires the last couple of bullets through that same hole at such a trajectory that it can go down and hit Kaori's wrist restraints on this chair to free her. Like, the arc doesn't make sense.
I mean, be honest, that is not the weirdest thing you've ever seen him do with a gun.
No, it was weirder that he was able to pull his gun out fast enough to stop a bullet in midair that was coming right at him.
It's fine. We'll let him have this one. The ship's blowing up.
This is important, though.
Yeah, so he's like, Kaori, get out of here!
And she's like, no! And he's like, do it! And she's like, no!
And he's like, I promised your brother!
And she's like, oh, well, that changes everything. And then she gets in the elevator and leaves. She's not happy about it, though.
No, she's not happy about it. And so the ship blows up, and Ryo kind of stands there trying to be, like, solemnly contemplating the end to himself.
I will go down with this ship. And so, shabam's all around him. I guess Umibozu got off okay. He's fine. Kaori's fine. Sayako and her sister
And Reika
are coming up on the speedboat, and they swing by and they rescue Kaori, and they're like, oh my god, are you alright? And she's like, yeah, but Ryo's still on the boat, blah blah blah.
And the boat has sunk by this point.
It's broken in half.
Yeah, like it's
on fire. It's pretty bad. And so everybody's like, oh, I guess he died. And he's like, no, I didn't. And they're like, how'd you get out? I swam out the bottom.
Like, that was his answer. He waited for a hole to open in the ship, for the ship to fill with a little bit of water, and then he just swam out. Mind you, he would have had to have waited an extremely long time for that to actually be feasible, and also managed to not get blown apart or burned to death.
Because actually, like, we see an explosion happen just to his left, and then he kind of goes flying.
Right.
And that did not kill him.
Somehow.
Like, we speed run this ending, too. Like, we're going through, oh my god, Ryo's still on the boat. Is he dead? No, he's not dead. He swam out through the bottom. Dun, 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 dun. Whoa, slow down for a second. Hold on. What is happening?
That ought to handle the Lodos Mafia. Dun, 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 dun. And that's where the episode ends. We hear Get Wild for the last time as an ending theme.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the end of the episode.
I'm so sad we're not gonna hear Get Wild again until, like, it'll pop up in, like, an OVA.
Well, no, it pops up once in season 2.
Oh, yeah, you're right, and it's very important that it does. And then otherwise you hear other, like, remixes or covers throughout the rest of the City Hunter franchise. And then, like, in the 2019 animated film, Shinjuku Private Eyes, you'll hear it again. But this was so iconic, for 51 episodes, episodes straight, now you're gonna take it away from me. There's really very few ending themes throughout the rest of this show that come anywhere close to this. I can only one other ending is especially memorable to me.
Well, two of them. There's another one that we're gonna hear later that's done by TM Network.
Right.
That when it comes up, I thought it was just a one-off, and then I realized, oh no, this is the ending theme now. I wasn't ready for it.
That's true, because it pops up during a Christmas episode.
And it sounds very Christmassy.
It's about the month of December and falling in love in December, so it sounds like, oh, this is a Christmas song, and then they like keep using it. And like, oh, I just thought it was the Christmas episode.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, you live here now. I wasn't ready. I mean, I would have gotten the spare bed ready for you, but okay. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is season 1 of City Hunter.
Yeah,
all right.
They go on to call the next season City Hunter 2, but quite frankly, it's still just City Hunter. And from the episode preview, they really just make it sound like, oh yeah, we're just picking it up next week. Like, we're still going, but we're calling it City Hunter 2. It's just season 2.
Yeah, it's really just season 2. The animation's the same. We're just going to change out the intro and the outro, and it just kept going.
They changed the way they do the See You Next Week episode previews and stuff. You'll notice, finally, it's taken us a year, but I think it's sometime during season 2 where during these next episode previews, Cowrie's like, if you don't come back next week, I'm going to do this, that, or the other thing. That's why I've been doing it, because this starts to come up in the next season. That's how she would end out these episodes.
Which is why we do it.
Right.
And so, yeah, we've gone through this whole season now where we kept our word. We did the tally before this episode started recording. Rio is on his 5th car.
He's at least on his 5th car, right. He's destroyed in some way at least 4 cars. There were some other Mini Coopers that we were like, does this one count as getting totaled, or could this just be a replacement?
Right.
Like,
If it was
just replace a window or a mirror or something and he can keep driving it. But if this car is totaled out, it cannot possibly function again. He had to buy another car.
Right. So he had enough to get at least, enough replacements to have a total of 5 Mini Coopers. Like, he's really bringing in that money as a sweeper. He must,
I guess, yeah. We were talking about, I don't know that we counted, and maybe we'll count this at the beginning of the next episode at the start of City Hunter 2, but we were talking about all these different fake countries that pop up.
Yeah, like Amalia and Indica and all of these other countries that people have come from, but we will never go to.
We said we needed to, make a map.
Yeah, the walking tour of the world of City Hunter. All these worlds, or all these countries.
Never forget the one country where there was a civil war happening and there's this news footage where somebody's got the sign that says Dobu Mu.
No, Bedeft Loe.
Bedeft Loe and Dobu Mu. I couldn't tell if they were conflicting ideas or if they were on the same side. I don't speak their language.
Nobody does. But there's been so many things we've gone over with these episodes, so many of these jokes. It's just such an enjoyable series, even though some of the material hasn't quite aged that well.
No, it has not.
But if you understand that it's a fictional piece of media, and you can understanding why that certain things aren't cool anymore, but you still see it just as a piece of entertainment, and you wouldn't emulate any of it, then it's perfectly fine, I think.
Sure. I mean, there's lots of media that lots of people just consume, and you're like, oh, well, I like listening to all these true crime podcasts, but I would never go out and murder somebody.
Yeah, I like Breaking Bad. I don't want to go sell meth.
Yeah, there's a difference. You have to understand the difference between what's real and what isn't, and what is and is not actually socially acceptable.
Right, like you wouldn't go out and grab somebody without their permission, or go through somebody's lingerie, or any of those things, because those are bad, and none of it was done with consent, and you shouldn't do that.
And the only reason why it's funny here is because Rio gets punished for doing those things.
Showing that it is bad.
Yeah, we all agree, it's bad.
But aside from that, as a character, I still enjoy Ryo. I enjoy the interplay between him and Kaori and Umibozu, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it as we cover this next season.
I am excited about next season because this is where you really see the character growth between Ryo and Kaori really start to form. It's pretty stagnant throughout this first season, but the second season you're like, whoa, do they actually care about each other? Like, for real.
And we get some answers.
Yeah.
We definitely get some answers, especially by the end of this season.
Yes. In the middle of the season, even. Maybe mid-late.
Mid-late.
Yeah.
So yeah, we appreciate that you guys have been tuning in and listening to us this whole time, and we hope that you stick around with us. We're going to take a small break.
So the plan is actually to come back with multiple episodes, and we're specifically going to drop them on Cyber Monday.
Or as we call it around here, Sayaba Monday.
Cyber Monday. Do you get it?
Ryo's last name is Sayaba.
Thank you. So that's the plan. Yes, we are going to be on break for a couple of weeks, but we will be back and with multiple episodes
and then
as
we'll
a
be
treat.
And we'll be right back on schedule, and we'll be posting every Monday like we've been doing.
Except this past one where we kind of messed up. That was our bad. We'll fix that. I swear to God.
We apologize. We'll be better.
We'll be better. Oh man, I'm excited for City Hunter 2, but I'm gonna really miss Get Wild.
Yeah, but
that's my sentiment.
We're gonna have to we're gonna spend some time covering the new intro and outro.
Yes,
but the good ones are coming. There's some real good ones coming this next season.
There are good ones. They're just they're never gonna be as memorable as the first.
I know.
But it's fine. Some of them are good. Some of them
are real bangers.
Some of them are not.
No, that's the truth. That's just the truth. Some of these we do not like.
Especially by the time you get to City Hunter 91.
Oh. No, City Hunter 3 and 91. Both.
I actually okay with 91. It's City Hunter 3 that I'm like, no, never mind, no.
Yeah, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
It's going to be a while. It's going to be more than a year.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're planned that far out ahead.
But that having been said, pretty much almost to the day, we have been doing this podcast for 1 whole year now.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And we're still planning on going another year.
At least.
Let's bring on 2024. We're still in 2022 right now.
Yeah. Hopefully by then, Aniplex will give us a damn update.
Oh my God, please.
I'm so mad.
Anyway, come back next time when we cover the first episode of City Hunter 2. Ryo's her future husband? Her horoscope says she will meet and marry him, part 1.
And if you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on Twitter. I'm at JoshKnightTheFirst.
And I'm at MarzGurl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 51st episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, we might have to change the name of the podcast to MokkoriPlay 2.
No, we shouldn't do that.
No, I think you're right.